Hello and welcome back to Mystery Shots. Bo Wolf is a young street magician. Bo does magic tricks all over Los Angeles, his specialty being the ability to control anything metallic and even float in the air. At one time there was a young woman who was amazed by his magic tricks. He tries to become acquainted with the woman, learning her name, Holly. Bo simply remains silent, because a magician's ethics dictate that he keep his secret. And also he never performs the same trick twice. Meanwhile, Bo is forced to care for his younger sister, Tina. Unfortunately, their parents died a few years ago. This forces Bo to engage in illegal activities in order to keep a roof over their heads. Strangely, he appears to have accomplished the trick without the use of any ordinary tool, instead constructing an electromagnet into his arm, with the negative electrode of the battery running to his thumb and the positive electrode running to his fingers. He first created the electromagnet for a science project in high school, which earned him an engineering scholarship, but he had to decline it in order to care for Tina after his parents died. However, there appears to be a side effect. It seems like he have to clean his pus every time and replace the battery. He is forced to sell drugs. He pays his bills with it. It is his primary source of income. Many even almost gets caught by the police selling drugs, but fortunately he still has not been caught. When he checks the money he got from selling drugs, he finds Holly's phone number on an old piece of paper. He works with Angelo, his supplier, who is usually nice to him. Bo is assigned to investigate a new kingpin who arrives and begins selling drugs for cheaper prices on their turf. Following that, Bo rushes to a club managed by Bo's friend Luna, where the new kingpin has his dealers selling drugs. He poses as a drug dealer and manages to steal the dealer's cell phone using his pickpocketing skills as a magician. The next day, he looks up his call history and discovers that his supplier's name is Maurice. Bo starts to date Holly thanks to the phone number he found after they chatted for a while last night. Angelo calls him and tells him to come to their base. Angelo has discovered the location of Maurice. They are currently planning an invasion of Maurice's home. Bo, on the other hand, is given a gun for self-defense, despite his initial reluctance to participate in this plan as he's not a fan of violence. They quickly apprehend Maurice and his men. Initially they offer cooperation rather than remaining hostile, but when one of Maurice's men misjudges Angelo, he becomes enraged and strikes the man while scolding them to carefully consider his offer. The next morning Bo does his magic as usual, which makes the people around him even more amazed. While he is having dinner together with Holly and Tina. Suddenly Angelo and his men arrive at his house and ask him to return to Maurice's house right away because he did not accept Angelo's previous offer. Fortunately, Holly and her neighbor, Georgie, were available to look after his younger sister for the night. A few moments later, the group kidnaps Maurice as he walks with his girlfriend. An enraged Angelo orders the Bo to cut one of Maurice's hands, despite his initial reluctance. He has no choice but to obey the order because Angelo has threatened to harm his family, including Holly. As a result, Maurice screams in agony as he leaves the scene. Angelo rewards him for his bravery by giving him a large number of drug packages. After showing George the drugs, he plans to deduct $15,000 from the money he will make from drug selling and pay off the remaining debt and leave town in peace. Bo sells the drugs completely in 5 days, just so he can give Angela the rest of the money and ask for permission to leave the job. After Holly and Bo slept together, she asked him what had happened to his hand. He revealed that he is deeply inspired by the street magician he saw as a child, and tells all his secrets on how he can move or lift slightly larger and heavier objects, such as an iron chair. Later, Bo attends a party organized by Angelo. Everything was going fine until Angelo invites Bo upstairs and finds that Bo has been cheating on his drug packages. As a result, he threatens to kill Bo unless he can come up with $45,000 in 1 week and repay Angela. Bo comes home with a bruised face. He also tells Holly everything he is dealing with. Fortunately, she continues to assist him in making money. She even gives him the rest of her savings to help him. Long story short, he works really hard by selling the remaining drugs he has, while playing his tricks to make money even faster. Feeling that he still needs more money, he decides to steal the remaining $9,000 from Luna. Precisely at the right time, Luna invites him to the main office, where she keeps her safe deposit box. Bo takes advantage of the opportunity to observe her unlocking the safe deposit box, studying the codes. He steals the office keys from her and then pretends to use the restroom for a while as Luna walks out. But first, he uses his power to move the security camera, allowing him to return to the office unnoticed. Then, after stealing the money from the safe deposit box, he manages to escape. Afterwards, he has a final drink with Luna, feeling guilty for stealing from her but relieved. Maurice Gang appears unexpectedly at the club. When they spotted him, they knocked him out, handcuffed him, and eventually placed him in the trunk of a car. Fortunately, he escapes by lifting the latches on the handcuffs and trunk with his electromagnet. Maurice, however, has stolen all of his money in the process. At midnight, Beau and his little sister chose to live at their neighbor's house as Angelo and his men suddenly ran to sack Beau's house to collect money he asked for previously. The following day, Beau tells his sister to go back to school because he thinks that the situation is already favorable, but it turns out that Angelo has told his men to kidnap Tina. He finds out when Angelo threatens him again through the phone call. From that moment, Beau has no choice but to hand over the money he doesn't have. When he gets home, he recalls his former high school science teacher. He then decides to go to his teacher's house and contact him in order to obtain more power for his electromagnet. Based on his knowledge, the teacher comes up with the idea of adding a feedback oscillator. They eventually succeeded in upgrading the electromagnet, but he warns them both. It could overheat the wires in his arm. Since then, those abilities have grown to their full potential, just as Magneto in the X-Men films does. He arrives at Angelo's house with Holly, telling her to wait outside. He then enters the house. He uses the supplemented electromagnet and rips out one of his former co-worker's gold teeth, causing him to bleed. He also hits the other man with his aluminum bat, which jumps into the wall. Soon after, Angelo approaches and is about to shoot him, but he quickly stops the bullets and makes the lights flicker. He then throws the bullets to the ground and picks up one, slowly burrowing it into Angelo's forehead to force him to divulge Tina's location. He removes the bullet from Angelo's forehead and gives him $15,000 before rushing out. He immediately grabs Tina, who is not far away with his arm burnt. Finally, he decides to begin a new life peacefully with Holly and his younger sister in San Diego, where they are trying to settle in. Beau's main job is still doing street magic with his new trick and entertaining the people around him, as his arm has now healed completely. Lastly, Holly is startled by all the lights in the house suddenly flickering by themselves. She then enters the bathroom to check on Beau. He appears to be working on a new trick with his electromagnet that could make him a local superhero. Like and comment your thoughts about this mystery shot. And don't forget to subscribe Mystery Shots for more such content.